There we go. All right, so hello and welcome to our AIM Tech Leadership Happy Hour. If we have not met yet, my name is Monica Philp. I am the Director of Tech Leadership Development at the AIM Institute. AIM is an innovative not-for-profit whose mission is to grow, connect, and inspire the tech talent community through career development and our educational programs. And so the purpose of these tech leadership virtual meetups is to connect you to a community of like-minded people, to inspire you and to empower you through these unprecedented times, and to help you grow beyond uncertainty and all the different challenges that we are all facing. And so now more than ever, we need to come together, work together, share our connections and resources, and encourage one another. And as a director of tech leadership development, I get to work closely with so many smart, sharp, brilliant individuals that are also just amazing human beings. And when people like that get together, we make a bigger difference in the world. And so, as we all know, technology is leading the way, and that's why it's so important to have these conversations, to share what other tech leaders in the community are doing and how we can help each other during these extraordinary times. And so let's go ahead and get started. And just to give you guys a little bit of background, I asked each speaker to share 5 to 10 minutes with the group. Some of the things that they would want them to cover is, what has their company done to adjust to this new norm? What has been the biggest challenge? What has been some areas of growth and innovation? And what is also the plan for going back to work? Are they going back to work? Is it not till next year? So just kind of, it would be great to learn what their companies are doing. And so why don't we go ahead and maybe Todd, do you want to go ahead and kick us off? Is Todd here?
Sure. I
Hey,
want to make
Todd.
sure. Hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Cool. I want to make sure I have these your questions because I've been there
So
it is.
tell us who you are, how long you've been
Yeah.
with TD Ameritrade, and just kind of what has TD Ameritrade been doing since all this has happened, just to kind of kick us off.
So okay, if you guys know me, I'm gonna set a timer because I'm really shy and I don't talk that much.
Right.
And so I want to make sure. So wow, what an amazing time. I've heard all kind of quotes from different people and stuff, and uh, can you imagine 10 years from now what they will be talking about or what they will be saying about this time that we live in? I think it's an amazing time with all of the everything from the civil unrest and stuff that's going on, and people questioning and thinking about things in a different light and in a different way, and the coronavirus and how that's affecting us. I've got a 14-year-old, and my son, my oldest son, has graduated from college, and I've got a 14-year-old about to start high school, and we don't even know what that's going to look like, right? We're not sure if he's going to school every day, someday, and so an amazing time. I work for TD Ameritrade. Been working for TD Ameritrade for this September will be 24 years at TD Ameritrade. So an amazing journey. I feel like I've had there too. Um, right now, my current role is Scrum Master. I was a senior manager there, and all kind of different changes, and we wanted to realign leadership and how we did leadership, and we wanted to bring the Scrum Master role into more of a leadership role, and so they did some changing and asked me if I would help kind of spearhead and make sure our scrum masters are moving forward, not as just most of our scrum masters were what I would call they were subject matter experts of agile methodologies, right? We wanted to take them to the next level and say, you're not just that, but you're leaders, you're our key leaders. And we are constantly saying to the scrum masters, myself included, much of how the team goes, the essence of the team, the personality of the team. That is what the Scrum Master is all about. So we consider them a vital leader, and felt like we were getting mature, really starting to um, kind of get our feet underneath us, and then next thing you know, the coronavirus hits, and now we're working from home. And I'm proud to say we were one of the first financial institutions in the United States who had 100% of their people working from home within about, we announced it. I remember it was like a Wednesday or Thursday. It came down, hey, we might be working from home. We started sending people home that Wednesday. Some folks, especially around the technology, and then I remember it was like that Thursday and Friday I worked from home. I got a call from my boss that Sunday night. We had a meeting with all the leadership, and they're like, no one's coming back to the office. And we're like, wow, I mean, personal items, everything's still there. No one's coming back to the office. And we're like, wow, can we do this? And it was almost seamless. And if you can imagine, in the midst of right before the coronavirus, it was announced that Charles Schwab was in the process of purchasing TDA. Charles Schwab actually had difficulty moving their technology staff, and they didn't move their technology staff so almost a month after we did, and we had our full business. And I was amazed at, you know, those at TD Ameritrade. They have folks with Series 7s and Series 6s, different things that allow them to trade stocks or help people with stocks. And there's certain information that they can see, and how are we going to do that, and have them work from home. But really proud of TD Ameritrade. And from a technology point of view, now looking back, we were always very, very open, and had a very open, if you needed to work from home, go ahead and do such. And that was probably the thing that saved us, right? We were all about, listen, get the work done. And if it's easier for you to get the work done at home sometimes, because whatever, you've got little ones, or daycare's closed, or you've got a contractor or something. Looking back on my career when I had direct reports and management, always thinking, try to make it easy as possible for these folks to be successful. That's the thing I think that helped us. And so as we moved forward, that was pretty seamless for us. And then I'm trying to think of, so our return policy, it was originally stated that Governor Ricketts was going to say, when we went to phase 3, TD Ameritrade said probably 45 days after phase 3, we would start looking at getting back. Well, phase 3, if you remember, I think was around June, end of June, July. I think Governor Ricketts officially said phase 3 is now here. TD Ameritrade, we got the leadership back together, and they thought we might have been, even with that, a little bit aggressive. Right now, what we're looking at, and again, we have the uniqueness of, we're in the midst of being purchased by Schwab, even though it hasn't gone through all of the stages for the Fed. We're still two unique companies, but anytime now the Fed's going to go, yay, and then technically we are one company. We are now Schwab. We're going to be on different platforms, and then it's that whole conversion and bringing us together. So as you can imagine, we have certain things that we have set, but then we're trying to talk to our counterparts at Schwab to say, what are you guys doing? And there's some collaboration in there going on. And so we're hoping in the fall to get back. But even then, what we've decided, a lot of folks, what we've decided is they want to do the social distancing. So they're looking at where folks are sitting to be 10 to 12 feet apart. Now, if you know anything about Agile, what's one of the key components of Agile? We're all in one room, kind of lean, mean team. We're all in there together. Well, we've got Agile rooms set up that won't work anymore. We can't distance enough. And so now we've got people rethinking how we're going to do that. The building in Omaha holds about 1,000 people. They're thinking most likely it's going to be 20 to 30%. So we're only going to have 200 or 300 people in that entire building. Looks like us for the fall. But for technology, right now, what we're actually telling folks, I don't believe, and our senior management don't believe that we can just go, we're never coming back. The very nature of what we do and how we work together, but we do understand that it's a new time and we have to think about how to move forward, how to be as agile, how to be as lean, how to work together. Um, Interesting enough, I'm actually going to be doing a presentation at a company in Omaha about agile in this new arena. Agile, with how do you do retros? How do you move forward? How do you build trust? How do you do these things? I'm sure many of you have experience. I've got 3 new people on my team I have never met face to face. They actually started working during the coronavirus. I have never seen them face to face. I've only seen them on a video, right? And so who they are, I think you guys understand who people are and what they're about. A lot of times you get in those organic conversations. And so with my final thing, kind of the biggest challenge, and I think what I consider the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity growth is that very thing. I always joke with my team when it all comes down to it, we're carbon life forms here. We like to be around people. Even my most introverted people have said to me, this is harder than I thought. This is a little bit harder than I thought. And those are my introverts. And so what is our biggest innovation? Our biggest innovation is trying to figure out and trying to find ways to be agile in this environment where before I've got some conversation. I'm having a conversation with the person next to me. The guy behind me hears the conversation. The gal to the right hears the conversation. We end up turning our chairs, and organically, we're now having a meeting and we're doing amazing things. What's our goal now? We have to figure out a way to do that now in this current light, in this current arena. And so the biggest challenge is that interaction. The best interaction, the best teams know how to interact. So now we don't use Zoom, but we use WebEx, and we're learning how to do WebEx and Miro, and we're using all of these technologies to bring us together to make us a better team. So that's me. Boom, 10 minutes.
Good job. Thank you, Todd. I think we can all relate. We all miss that human connection, and I think video is the second best thing of being able to see people live and connect with them. So, so thank you, Todd. Next we have Jess Cruz with PayPal. Jess, are you here?
Yep. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So I'm Jess Cruz. I've been with PayPal for over 19 years. Throughout that tenure, I've had a number of different roles, but currently the role I'm in is Director of Software Development and Robotics. So I am responsible for our development and automation of internal tools for our teammates and what our teammates use to service our customers. So we build tools to make things a little easier for our teammates. We try to automate those processes. And then I also own our RPA platform. I'm also part of our Omaha Talent Development Committee. So we coordinate talent development opportunities for all of our Omaha office. When it comes to Corona and what we've done to adjust, it's been crazy. It's been a lot. The main focus has been trying to keep focused on the people aspect. We had a little bit of an advantage in our Omaha office. We were working through a building restack where we were planning on having groups of folks work from home already. So that way we could have construction come in, redo some of our buildings and refresh the space and get some new furniture. So we already started having some folks working from home and then just kind of naturally transitioned. And instead of it being just, hey, you're working from home for construction, we ended up moving everybody working from home instead of those initial kind of groups of people that were designated. I think the biggest thing that has changed for us and where our challenges have come in is we were very similar. Entire team was in the Omaha office. If something came up, we would all just stand up, go over to the whiteboard and work through things. And so that's really changed quite a bit. And then, you know, on top of that is how do we meet people where they're at? You look at, like my team, for example, we have a single dad who has a 2-year-old with daycare closed. We have folks with young kids, and we have folks with teenagers that we're trying to continue to work through school with their kids and keeping them on track while also working. And then we have folks on the other end of the spectrum too, where we have people in an apartment, you know, with living by themselves with nobody else. And so how do we meet these folks where they're at? So internally within our teams, we talked about flexibility. We talked about being understanding in these situations. And, you know, the gentleman that has the 2-year-old, she joins some of our team meetings and understand that that's going to be a little bit of a distraction, but that's also somewhere where we're meeting him where he's at. There aren't options, and we need to make sure that we're compassionate and supportive. It's one of those things that's been really kind of interesting, because you would think with some of those distractions and personal lives and personal responsibilities, you know, coming into play, that you would see a difference in our outcomes and our productivity. But really, when you take a look at what the team's delivering, we're still delivering and are on track with those outcomes. Their work lives just look a little different. Or they may be doing some things earlier in the day, later in the night, and they might not be there during that normal kind of 8 to 5. But really, when it comes down to it, flexing with people and supporting people, they're trying to do the same thing back for us and make sure that they're showing that they're thankful for us adjusting. We've also talked too about little things within the team with grocery shopping and things like that, where we've talked about those things and told them, do it during the day. If that's when you feel safer, we'll go through, we'll look, we'll adjust, and we'll make sure that we're there supporting as a team. So really kind of the challenges for us, it hasn't really been from a technology standpoint. We've had folks being able to work from home. That had been worked out. It's more making sure that we're supporting our people. We've also changed up some of our meetings a little bit, tried to scale back some of our meetings so folks can focus on development. And then things like our standard one-on-ones, when we're checking in, we're leading the checking in on how are we doing on deliverables to our standard Scrum ceremonies, and really using those one-on-ones to check in and, hey, how are you doing? How are you holding up during this time? Figuring out as leadership, what else can we be doing? How can I help? And I find myself asking that question, what else, multiple times in our one-on-ones, because for some folks, those are the times that they're connecting. They're not going out, not talking to other folks because they're worried about the situation. And especially the folks that don't live with other people, sometimes we're trying to do what we can to help build some of that social interaction as well. We've implemented a team happy hour that I actually think is one of those things that we'll continue to end up doing afterwards. Looks a lot different virtually, and typically what the team wants to do is get online and play games. So we get a group of people on, and we'll go through. We played some Hangman. We've gone through and done Pictionary. The latest that they've been wanting to do is Mario Kart. So it's been interesting because I think we've had a little bit more team bonding happening when we're carving out some of our work hours to do some of these things. And so, you know, we've seen some good growth as a team, and I think we'll try to hang on to that when we do return back into the office. As for return plans, we don't have anything specific at this point. What we've talked about is when we do decide to go back into the office, we're going to look at phasing that, and we're going to be focusing on volunteers. So starting with the people who are comfortable and starting with those folks that really just want to get out of their homes and get back to work. And then just really kind of see how that goes and do subsequent phases depending on how the previous phase is gone.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jess. I love the implementation of happy hour. That was one of the things that we did too. I was like, it was just so great because there are a lot of times we don't even see some of the team members. So everyone got on video, and it was just a great way to connect with our team members from the different departments. So
yeah, we've had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Next up, we have Dala. Dala, are you on?
Yeah, the last I checked, I think I was still on.
You're
So,
still on. There you are. Good to see you.
all right. Well, it's nice to meet all of you. My name is Dala Alphonso. I am the Director for Application Delivery at Omaha Public Power District. My responsibilities include um, leading the team that is responsible for the digital transformation of OPPD. So pretty much all the enterprise technology stack, the domain specific technology that we need, quality assurance, release management, UI, UX, all of the fun stuff that has to do with software development seems to fall under my stack. I've been with OPPD for about a year and a half now. Feels like I started yesterday. But OPPD does that to you. If you're wondering what OPPD does, it's an acronym for electricity. If you live within the 13 counties that we support, if you live in Nebraska, in one of those 13 counties, there's a tendency that when your power flickers or if it goes out, you will feel the impact of what we do. So, so being a critical component of the infrastructure, it's important for us to develop a plan real quick. You know, when this started out, let me lay a quick background here. This is the fact that OPPD has been around since 1946, and since in 74 years, we've been purely a brick and mortar organization. In fact, the notion of working from home in itself, it does happen sporadically, but it's foreign in its sense. So imagine needing to transition about 1,800 employees to work from home, because that was, you're asking about moving the Titanic in shallow waters. And so here we are with field workers, line workers. We have people who do not even want to touch anything that is electronic to get their job done. And now you're trying to move them to a space where they have to work virtually. Now, there's a component of our work that cannot be virtualized. That's a given. But what can we virtualize? Now, when we started out this journey, I'll give you some numbers here. We had probably about 750 VPN licenses. So we were just about, when it was about to hit, we kind of like started thinking, wouldn't it be nice for us to just do like a work from home day for just maybe a portion of the technology group, about maybe 100 people, and just test it out and see what happens. And here we were on a Wednesday, just giving this a shot, and we came back home and we're like, look at that, we did good. We got 100 people to work from home, you know. And then the plan was by Tuesday, we're going to do this again and expand it to 200 people. And then we heard oh no, this was Monday. By Monday, we're being told, you need to get 1,700 people to work from home. Okay, so imagine the chaos. But the truth of the matter is that we did it flawlessly, without skipping a beat. And we're in the middle of a lot of very, very huge technology lifts because our technology is so far behind. We have a nuclear plant that is being decommissioned, a lot of technology that supports that needs to be decommissioned, that new things need to be brought in to make sure we support our new facilities. And on top of all of that, your refrigerator needs electricity every single second. So how do we make all of that happen? And we have to keep our people safe. So we pretty much went about doing this. Everywhere I go, I'll be quick to say, hey, you know, we have one of the most resilient group of individuals who are quick to adapt to the change, knowing that we have to keep critical employees safe at all times for the kind of function that we do. We don't have a return to work policy at this time. We had thought we're going to be back in July. We kicked the can down the road. Right now, we're looking at a January return date, but I can unequivocally say, is that a possibility? I don't know. You know, we're looking at trends. We're paying close attention to what's going on with the CDC and also the Department of Health, and keeping close tabs with Douglas County to make sure that we are aligned. Now, don't forget that Nebraska is the only state in the entire nation that is purely served by public utilities. So we have to be able to keep functioning. So that's something we're very prideful about in order for us to keep our costs low and affordable for our users. If you're wondering who our shareholders are, just look at the screen. The person next to you is one of our shareholders. So that is pretty much what we do. So we're working through that, but again, we are reconfiguring our space to make sure that we can be able to come back efficiently. Now, what have been our biggest challenges? We've been able, in my organization alone, we've onboarded well over half a dozen people, you know, in the midst of this. As a matter of fact, if we're hiring managers, hiring scrum masters, application engineers, you know, these folks are just coming on board, QA engineers, we're just hiring them as if it's going crazy. And we're onboarding them. It's the way it's happening, I don't know, but somehow the team has adjusted to getting these things done. It's not easy for people who work within close proximity, like Todd was saying. You know, you need to have that you need to have that relationship. I mean, you need to have that opportunity to walk by, hear the conversation going down the screen. I mean, a couple of cubes from you, but you can't do that today. You know, even if you want to take time off and go on vacation, you start wondering, do I want a vacation in my living room or in my backyard? So there's that conversation and that challenge that's going on in itself. It's just missing that human contact. But I will say that the opportunity in itself for growth and innovation has been that productivity has gone out of the roof. Folks are getting a lot of things done. We're leveraging technology. Collaboration is much better than it was. Our teams, no matter how large they are, now they're able to meet for 15 minutes. Everybody has a great time. We leave. It was exciting at the beginning of this when you can bring your pup in, you can bring your cat in, you can bring your pet and your goldfish, and everybody be like, yay, it's exciting. But now it's kind of like down to business as usual. You know, it's just another day. It's nice to have these happy hours, but this is an opportunity for us to have a glimpse to what the future looks like. So a lot to come. That's pretty much where we are at OPPD.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. Really grateful for OPPD. Next one we have Karthik. Are you on?
Yes, I am. Can everyone hear me okay?
I can hear you. I like your backdrop. Mine's all natural though.
My real background is crazy with my kids running around, so I tend to use this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so first of all, thanks Monica for the opportunity to first hear from everyone else. Like Todd, Jess, Dala had like some really great ideas that I'm so eager to take them back to my organization and see if I can implement those. So thanks for that. And coming to CSG, like I've been with CSG for the past 10 years. I started with CSG as a programmer and I came through the ranks, and I've been managing a team for the past 4 years. My team develops a desktop app which takes in orders for big cable companies. Think of your Comcast, Time Warner, Charter, and all that. So in the midst of all this COVID craziness, all these cable companies are doing really well because everybody is sitting at home, nothing else to do, watching their TV. So we need to keep our level of excellence at the best because there is no time to lag behind right now. Okay, so I put in a quick screenshot, that way you guys don't get sick of seeing my face. So can I share my screen, Monica? It says it's disabled.
Let me see. So I'll maybe stop sharing. Let me see.
You may have to right click my video and give some permissions, I believe.
See. Yep, let me see. Because if I'm recording, is that going to make a difference? Let's see.
It shouldn't.
Video. So I have screen share, one participant at a time. So how do I stop sharing my screen? Advanced share, multiple participants can share. There we go. What about that? Did that work?
There you go.
There we go. All right. Learn something new every day.
Yep. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yep.
All right. So, so the first thing is, what did CSG do when all of this came down on us, right? Like, so one of the first things is CSG decided very quickly and acted on it immediately. And I can think of like early March when we were told all of you can go home and work from home. This is all of the company. There were discussions happening at the leadership level even before there was this widespread shutdown that happened. Okay. The second thing is there is a conscious effort from the frontline managers to have frequent touch points with your direct reports. This could be an IM message or a phone call or an email, especially during the early part of this whole process, because there was a lot of anxiety. People were nervous. People were rapidly adapting to the ongoing situation, right? So just a hi from your manager saying like, hey, are you doing okay? Do you need some help? Are your kids doing remote learning from home? That was immensely helpful. And the third one, this is mainly for leaders, is manage to the work and not to the time. It's very easy to get into the mode where you look at the green balls in your Skype or Teams and see, hey, where is this guy? This guy is showing away. That's not the intent. The intent is to get the work done and not whether someone spends the whole day sitting in front of their computer. And the fourth thing is focus on not just the physical, but also the mental health. We had to come up with a lot of creative ways, like Dala explained. Like CSG has a unlimited vacation policy, but what are you going to do with all the vacation when all you can do is sit at home, right? So we had to have some innovative conversations within the team and say like, hey, probably take some time off to do your lawn work, or probably start a new home project, right? Whatever that is. It could be maybe half a day rather than a single day, but take some time off. That way you recharge and feel better, right? And some of the key changes I have focused on, the big ones, is the very first one that I can think of is CSG had an initiative which is Take Your Equipment Home program, and this was early March. And this was one single initiative I can clearly say that made our lives so easy. Day one, every single employee was allowed to take their laptops, monitors, keyboard, mouse, whatever, right? The chair I'm sitting on is from CSG. It might sound funny, but we sit on this chair for 8 hours a day, right? It's important. Like the crappy chairs at my house won't do. So every single employee was allowed to take stuff home, and there was a checkout sheet where all the managers fill out the stuff. And when they eventually come into office, they can bring them back in. The second one was leveraging technology for collaboration. I know Todd and Dala spoke about face-to-face and all that, right? CSG was still on Skype when COVID started. We had plans to move to Microsoft Teams Q4 of 2020, and we realized that's not going to work. So by end of April, we had everybody on Teams, and I can tell you that was a game changer. And I'm not just saying Teams, it could be Zoom or whatever you guys use, but video chat and group chats and all those play a major role in our day-to-day. And also with some of the new tools like Teams, for example, if you record a meeting, it's available on the cloud, so you can quickly share it with others as opposed to shipping massive files across desktops, right? Also, we started to do some non-work related stuff, which is opening up private channels. And in these channels, you have people sharing their cooking recipes, their at-home projects, right? Some of them are doing pottery, and people really need to kill time. They're now into arts and whatever, right? And also, there is another tool I wanted to share with all of you guys. Most of us are like agile teams, and we do pointing. So there is a really cool website called Voting Poker where you can do pointing remotely from your home. The other one, like Jess mentioned earlier, like we do have social hours. We have a standing social hour every 2 weeks, and we do everything from talking about our binge watch list on Netflix and Prime, which is going down nowadays because as we go into the quarantine, we are lacking new content. But we do play online poker. We do play online Pictionary. There are a couple of links I shared if you guys wanted to make a note of those. Okay. As far as the challenges, the face-to-face interaction is the single biggest challenge. And I would say we have overcome that to a certain extent through Microsoft Teams and video calls. The next biggest challenge that we had was employees and them having to take care of their kids, whether that is grown-up kids who needed support with remote learning and e-learning, or toddlers and babies who have to be at home running in the background with the daycares closed, right? So the single biggest thing we try to do with all the frontline managers is just show empathy and say, if you need to take some time off during the day, absolutely do that. Every single meeting is going to be recorded, so you can come back and watch it later. They don't have to miss something and take their personal time. You can take your time off knowing you can catch up later, right? The third challenge is time management. And when I say time management, I'm not talking about people not putting in enough hours. This is putting in too much hours. People are at home and some people are too engaged. They forget to log off at 5 or 6, right? There is no virtual boundary now. You don't have to go to your car and go home. Instead, you are at your computer. So it's very easy to stretch all the way till like 8 or 9 p.m. It may sound really awesome at the beginning, but believe me, it's going to come back and bite us. So we had to constantly remind folks, like, don't stretch yourself. If you feel like you're doing more, take it to the next day. And the fourth one was employee health, which I touched on before. We had to do some innovative things, like we would cut short a meeting by 15 minutes and say, everybody go and do your favorite activity, right? Whether that's going for a walk or going up and down the stairs, and then post a picture, and then we have fun at each other's expense. The last challenge is, and I'm pretty sure all of you know this, is right now in the current situation, there is so much of misinformation going on through social media and mainstream media, so many other things. It's not uncommon for a lot of people on my teams to come and ask, like, hey, is this true? Or is this true? Or is CSG going to do this? Or CSG going to do that? And the consistent response is, we are always going to focus on the facts, and we are going to comply with the local and federal laws. And we've been repeatedly reiterating the same, so that there is less nervousness and anxiety from everybody. Okay. With regard to the office reentry policy, the primary goal, and I would say the one and only goal, is the health of the employee and safely bringing him back to work. We are following a 3-phase reentry. The first phase is up to 33% capacity. And I can already tell you, in Omaha office, the 33 capacity percent is not even close. We've had like probably like 20 to 30 people who are interested to come back in, which is completely understandable. So this is completely flexible for the employees. If they wish to stay home on work till the end of the year, or maybe even in the future, it's up to them. But here is the process. And as far as the other changes, like others touched on, we are doing access point restrictions. We are closing out some of the entry doors so that everybody's coming through a common area, social distancing protocols. CSG is supplying personal protective equipment to every single employee, so that they have face masks, hand sanitizers, thermometers, whatever. And then they are required to wear face masks when they are at work, and when they're moving about. If they're at their own workstation, they don't have to. And there are sites where people go through and their temperature is noted right now to make sure everybody is not having a high temp or something like that. Okay. The last one is opportunities for growth and innovation, like collaboration, like everybody mentioned, is one of the biggest challenges. We are trying to tackle that. The other challenge is, now that the entire workforce is working from home, we are seeing the stress in other areas like VPN and the networks being slow. We are working with a lot of other teams to see how we can handle those. But those are all like growing pains I believe every team is managing. That was everything I had. I'll open it up for any questions you guys might have.
Thank you for that presentation. We did not require a presentation. I was very impressed. so let's go ahead and open up for questions. Comments. If anyone wants to go ahead and unmute, and we can go ahead and ask the presenters anything. Don't be shy. We have some people here. Let's see. We have some comments going around.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's check out the chat box. Great ideas. Maybe anyone else that wants to share what their team has done. Maybe the AIM Institute. What have just to give you guys an update with AIM, we were going through the leadership academies, and we met in March for the last, we had 2 sessions left before we were going to go and graduate. And so COVID happened. So we met last in March, and then everything was closed down. And so we said, what are we doing? Are we going to wait till the end of the year to figure out what's going to happen? Or, wait till things go back to normal? Or do we use a technology, since we are a Tech Leadership Academy, use a technology to see how we can implement and move forward? And so probably one of the best decisions was to kind of, use the technology, test it out. If it doesn't work, try something different. If it doesn't work, try something different. Luckily, things worked. We had our capstone presentations. They did a great job presenting to a lot of the leadership team. So I was just really proud of our team that, the class that just kind of pushed through and just did a lot of great things. And Todd was one of the, was part of it as well. So it was just great to have that
Awesome.
support from the community. Yeah. And we had a virtual graduation. And so just really, embracing the technology and just changing as things are changing. So
I have a question for the panelists. I'm curious, are you finding that employees are anxious and like kind of chomping at the bit to return to a more typical office setting? Or I know, Karthik, you said that not that many people were wanting to return. I'm just curious, what's your feeling about your employees?
To be honest, it's mixed right now. It depends on the person you're talking to. For example, on my team, there is a person who cannot work from home. He absolutely hates working from home. So he's already in office right now. But I have other people on my team who have little kids, who have health conditions that they are scared about. They have no intention of coming to office until there is a vaccine out there. And I would probably say I am also on the same boat. My daughter has an asthma problem. I am not going to be in the CSG office in the near future. So it really depends on the person you're talking to. As leaders, what we are trying to do is we are making sure there is no one size fits all solution. Be comfortable with whatever you want to do. That's what we are trying to do.
We have a question in the chat box. Do you find that you are more or less productive?
I personally find that I am less productive. But I will tell you, unlike Karthik, I am dying to get back into the office. My team, I've been blessed with a great team, and we have such amazing organic interaction that we're struggling a bit, because we were the team that we just started turning chairs around, and whether we're talking about football or guitars or the latest technology or how we're going to move forward, we had such organic. And so we are we're struggling a little bit, but we're finding ways to connect. We have a lot of happy hours. A lot of the stuff that Jess was talking about just really hits solid with me, is that most of my team, from a technology point of view, they're not struggling with the technology. I've got team members I have one guy on my team who has a 45-inch TV mounted on his wall, plus like 3 other monitors. So he's got like 4 monitors. So Dala would be happy. He is using a lot of OPPD power in his basement, right? And so technology is not what we're dealing with. We're trying to find those ways to make sure people are connecting. So I'm looking forward to getting back into the office, but on the other hand, I do understand, like Karthik said, I think what TD Ameritrade's really going to push is whatever is right for you. Eventually, we're going to get to the place where we're going to need everyone back. But until then, this is all about the employee, our associates, and making sure that they're the most effective. And if that means right now staying at home, so be it. We've got the technology and we can do it.
I also think that there's a functional balance that you need to consider. As you know, too often businesses have become so pro-profit and less people-focused. And that is a culture that is changing today with our approach to how we lead people and how we handle things. At OPPD, for instance, being a pseudo-government organization and a critical function to this community, it's one thing for us to be dealing with COVID. It's another thing to be dealing with COVID without electricity. You know, that's a whole different dimension of craziness that's just going to happen. So for us, there are areas that were very rigid, and that is making sure that our critical personnel, our critical infrastructure is available whenever, 24/7, 365. It doesn't matter if there's a tornado coming through town, we've got to make sure that the lights are on. That is how critical it is. So there are certain things that we've put in place. For instance, you don't go to the facility, you don't even show up at OPPD without your direct supervisor giving you clearance to be there, because we don't want you around those folks. That's the first thing. The second thing, there's provision already for PPEs and everything else that you need to support. And in all honesty, I don't think there's a mixed bag of emotions. Just like Todd said, there are those that just want to get back to the office because they miss humans. There are those that don't want to come out of their basement because they think the zombies have taken over. So you've got to find the balance here. At the end of it all, there's a huge change element that we have to consider in all of this. So getting back to work, at the end of the day, what do we define as work? Work is productivity. Are we meeting our milestones? Are we delivering on those things? I think we have a completely different problem today, which is more about making sure that people tend to their humanity and not just sit down. And I am guilty of that. I am quick to tell you this, that I find myself, I wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll be like, you know what, what's that? I'm going to check my emails. And I'm back here, and that tends to happen. So we've got to be disciplined and also encouraging people. At the end of the day, here's what's going to happen. We're either going to, productivity is great, it's out of the roof, right? I mean, we are in the middle of some major multi-million-dollar projects. We're rolling out some big projects even in the midst of this. And this is an organization that has never worked remotely before, right? And being able to lift and shift and deliver those type of products and hiring people and onboarding them, to answer the question that somebody said, let me pivot here, is that what part of what we did was that our Scrum Masters are responsible for onboarding any individual within their teams. We have them paired with individuals. We have organization-wide, that's what we call our division-wide meeting 3 times a week, where you meet the entire team. We're leveraging platforms like WebEx Teams and WebEx Meetings. So we have ways to stay connected. The one big pain point is that people miss the opportunity to be able to interact, meet, and see, and have all of those things. And there's just no way you can solve for that. I mean, people have come up with ideas that, why don't we go meet in the park? We can all social distance and all that. But our function is so critical that meeting in the park is not an option. So that is where that flexibility comes from one organization to the other.
Thank you for that. We have another question. For those who are doing onboarding and new employees remotely, what were some good things you did to make them feel settled in company without being at the building?
That's
Go ahead, please.
I was going to say that's an interesting one, because starting in this all started in March. In April or May, we had 15 interns. Well, one of the things we thought is, we are not going to shut down our intern program. There are college students who are not only from a monetary point of view, but they're just looking forward to that. And so a lot of what Dala had just mentioned, one of the things then we specifically did is kind of unique to TD Ameritrade. All of our interns, especially ours, they were assigned to the most senior person on the team. So we didn't do we're just going to assign them to someone. We assigned our senior developers. And so we said, listen, this person's got 10, 15, 20 years experience. We want your experience here at TD Ameritrade to not falter because we're going through this. A funny story, though, one of the gals, she had a computer, but just wasn't up to snuff. And so we said, we'll get you a MacBook. So I actually met her at the TD Ameritrade parking lot. And you would have thought that I had like a hazmat nuclear waste. I had this bag, we had it cleaned, we had all these things, we had all of her stuff in this bag. I had my mask, I had gloves on and everything. And it was funny because she had come, I dropped it off to her, and she literally took it, left, said hi, my name's Brianna, and that was it. And because I was saying to the team, like I was saying earlier to you folks, I thought I'm the only person on the team that's actually met Brianna. Everyone else on the team has not actually had it. Although I met Brianna, it was for 30 seconds, but for her, just to get a brand new MacBook and everything, she was like, wow, you guys, I'm like, whatever we can do. So we had to do a couple of little things for our interns, for our new folks. We've specifically assigned mentors to each one of those, especially to make sure during this time we made things a little bit easier. So again, it's just concentrating on the person. That's what we realized. The technology, I won't say that it's easy, but the coding and the Java and all that stuff, it's the personal interaction that we've strived to be about.
Let me, if it's okay. Hey, Roger, I see you there. Roger is one of my managers, and he's a little bit closer to the onboarding story because we've onboarded so many people in the last few. In fact, once COVID hit, it was like there was just an influx of resources, QA resources, managers, engineers. They were just coming in. It was like, hey, that company is letting them go. Like, hey, come on, we're taking here. We have a home for you. So, Roger, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about your onboarding process.
It's funny, Roger actually missed graduation because he was onboarding people because they were so busy. The advanced leadership graduation, we're like, oh, and Roger, or,
yeah. Yeah, I was part of that leadership academy that went virtual, and I have to say I was very happy that it continued. It would have been really difficult to have had that long period break, which was unknown how long that would have been, and obviously now we know it would have been longer than we probably expected. Mm-hmm. And AIM and everybody that was in the class and the people who came and presented really worked out well. And it was very appreciated. And it was a little nerve-wracking doing the capstone projects that way. But, it's kind of the way things are going to probably be for a while. So it was a good experience. Mm-hmm. In terms of the onboarding, a lot of it is kind of like what Todd was saying too, is, the key is really to communicate and over-communicate and be very inclusive. And, we set up, kind of like he was saying, we set up a partner for that person. And then that person is sort of their mentor and guide. And we also have some written documentation of our process. So we know that, these are some steps that we go through, whether it's, usually it'd be in person, but right now it's virtual. So having that prepared ahead of time helps us to be able to go through a standard checklist and make sure that we cover the things that we need to cover. And then I've been Scrum Master and also now manager, so I've been kind of multiple roles in this. But the other thing is just to really emphasize, anytime you have a question, reach out. Everybody is here to help you succeed. And we want to make sure that this is a smooth process and a good transition for you. And we'll do whatever it takes. And, don't feel shy. Don't feel embarrassed. We don't expect you to know everything. And, we, in our industry, we use like hundreds of acronyms. And, just as simple as, and Dala will know this because I've said this to him too. Anytime we use one, stop the person and say, what does that mean? Don't feel bad. You're new, we expect that. And, just make them feel comfortable and welcome. And Dala mentioned we have daily stand-ups that we do as a team. And we, that's important to get the person integrated into the work group. And then as a larger whole division, we do that 3 times a week. and that's been very helpful for the new staff as well. So that's a little bit about what we've been doing.
So we are almost at time. I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. We do have other questions, but we can maybe keep the communication going on our leadership LinkedIn group. So if I will follow up with everyone, and everyone can have access to this recording, and also any questions you might have for the speakers, we can go ahead and you'll be able to have access to them as well. But I want to thank everyone for your time. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your leadership throughout this crazy time, but it's just great to see all the different companies and what they're doing and how we're all working together. I think it does help knowing that we're all in this together, you know, and we'll get through this together by supporting each other. So thank you all so much, and I will
Thank you for setting this up, Monica.
Yeah, thanks
It was
everyone.
awesome.
Any
Yeah,
final anything else? No.
Just so you know, you actually have a lot of people from overseas on this call, believe it or not.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, everybody.
I'm gonna have to look up Dala. I can already tell. I like him. I'm gonna find your email, Dala. I'm gonna find your email. We're gonna connect.
All right.
All right. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.